Thank you
Oh, hey
everyone
there,
for your
Genji.
patience today as we had a little bit of delays and technical difficulties getting the stream started. And funny enough, one of my technical difficulties was oh man, mirroring myself. I don't know how to open boxes apparently. Um, so it took me way longer to get my drink ready than I expected. I decided that today I'm going to do a comparison of uh, old fashions. So I have an On the Rocks brand ready to drink old fashioned in my glass here. I was actually surprised. This seems to be so. This is a 200 milliliter bottle, and that didn't occur to me.
Hmm.
That's actually kind of a lot. I usually do a single shot of whiskey in my old fashions because I don't like to load up with that much alcohol, especially on ice, because I don't drink very fast. Um, this is going to be like a solid 3 cocktails worth of stuff in this bottle, which is pretty cool. Um, so without having tasted it yet, I guess I can say like it's a good value. It's like I think it's for one of these 200 milliliter sized bottles, it's like $5 or something like that. I have this sampler back here with 6 different cocktails in it. Um,
I think I've seen that brand before as well, but I've never had any of their stuff, honestly.
yeah, I got this one from Costco for what that's worth. I don't think it's a
Oh,
Costco brand or anything.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I've gone right on into it. Let's explain what we're doing here. So, we kind of didn't come up with an agenda this week, so we thought to ourselves, what do we normally do after dry week? Because last week was our dry week episode, and we just wrapped up dry week, and here we have the week after dry week. And the fun thing about the week after dry week is you've gotten a big palate reset. So, if you've been drinking cask strength or otherwise high alcohol percentage spirits, um, it's going to take a couple of days maybe to sort of ease back into those high proof spirits again. I take this as an opportunity to start doing reviews of my stuff that is lower on the alcohol percentage. So the 40%, 43,
Hmm.
45, 46, 47. Because with all the specialty stuff that comes my way, I end up reviewing things that are well in the 50 percentage points of alcohol. And that's tough to get into after you've taken a break for a week. So one of the first things that you're going to start doing to take to drink. One of the first things you're going to start drinking after dry week is probably going to be cocktails, beer, um, that sort of the low proof 40% type of whiskey, that sort of thing. That's a good idea to start a warm up drink, something that's lower before you get to something that's higher. Um, but here we're talking about going into the next phase of 10 weeks or so of regularly drinking whiskey and reviewing whiskey, and you want to be gentle to your palate at first. Or you make the mistake I made and open up something brand new that you just bought, which happens to be a high proof whiskey, and you experience pain. So that's a cautionary tale. So what I've done for myself today is I've given myself a comparison of 2 old fashions. On my right here, I have my typical brown sugar and bitters with wild turkey old fashioned, and on the left, my left, I have the On the Rocks ready to drink old fashioned, which is notably lighter in color. Um, Brown sugar notwithstanding, I think even the whiskey is just a lot darker. The On the Rocks, for what it's worth, says that it's made with Knob Creek. So that's fun. If I had realized that ahead of time, I actually would have made a Knob Creek Old Fashioned just so that I could have that direct comparison. But as it stands, I was ready to kill this bottle of Wild Turkey behind me. Trying to point to things behind me is hard. This is a handle that I've had for a while, and I have just finished it. Which with what happened to be just about 2 ounces of whiskey, which was perfect. And that's ready to get filled up with homebrew wine now, so that'll be fun.
I think an old fashioned was the first bottled cocktail I ever bought, and it had I don't remember what brand it was. It had the incredibly distinct flavor of bubble gum to it.
Interesting. Um, I don't think I've ever had a canned cocktail. This is literally my
Hmm.
first one right now live on stream.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I've just never felt the desire to like if I'm going to have something that's like ready straight out of a bottle, beer, wine, spirits, neat, right? I, I don't really usually find myself wanting to open something up, pour it on the rocks and say, I did an extra step and it has more flavors or whatever. I just usually there's an easier and less expensive option. I guess it's sort of how
Hmm.
I feel. But also, you know, before I got into reviewing whiskey, I pretty much didn't drink whiskey at home, or didn't drink whiskey that much out either because it's just expensive. But like, it was a rare, once in a while, holidays, special occasions kind of thing. Before I decided that I wanted to invest in learning more about whiskey.
Mm. There is, I think, in my experience, one place that I think that pre-made or especially canned cocktails really shines, and a lot of places where it doesn't. Place where it really shines, sparkling wine cocktails or like canned Aperol spritzes or Americanos or things like that, where you don't have to open up a whole bottle of sparkling wine or sparkling water or anything like that to have a good thing. And Duckphill has just joined and cut my head off.
Yeah, looks like it.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Hey there, Duck. How
once he
you doing?
turns on his camera. Okay, now I'm gonna have to. So you were asking how I feel about this pre-made old-fashioned cocktail.
Absolutely.
So my thought here was I'm gonna give it a fair chance by like adding nothing in terms of garnishes to my handmade old-fashioned, except for the brown sugar and the bitters, which of course are sort of part of the spec. Um, I didn't add any like orange bitters or orange garnish because I figured that the pre-made cocktail would like sort of call for that, but optional or something like that. There's not really much in the way of instructions. So let me just read more carefully just in case. Just says it literally says here's the instructions. Pour over ice and enjoy. So they were expecting no garnishes. I suppose you could always do whatever you want. It does say it's made with Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, bitters, and natural flavors. So the and natural flavors is the interesting thing. I wouldn't expect this to taste super artificial because um, they already have.
How many artificial things can you fit inside of an old fashioned?
Yeah, it's like if you're. Yeah, they've got the majority of the stuff is the bourbon and the bitters. So if any pre-made cocktail was going to be like pretty solid, it should be this, and I would say it is. It does taste very
Yeah.
different from the Wild Turkey old fashioned that I have.
I think that some pre-made brands will add in artificial orange and cherry flavors, and those can get kind of weird very quickly overall, I would
Yeah.
say. But it sounds like that one doesn't
I would say it
doesn't
does have, it's clearly been flavored, like, compared to just the bourbon and bitters and brown sugar, which, I mean, that's very much to my tastes. The On the Rocks brand old fashioned is, it's a little sweeter. It's, like, less intense. I would say that it definitely does have what appears to be the added flavors of orange and cherry. It pretty much nails it. Not as much in the way of brown sugar as I would like.
I see.
Like a little thin, but overall not bad. Like if I was served this in a bar, I'd be perfectly happy with this.
What's the ABV on that one, out of curiosity?
35%. I was surprised. I'm
35. That's way higher than I think I would serve an old fashioned at if I was making it myself. Whoa. Oh no.
things are happening, but I'm not quite sure.
Things are
yeah.
happening.
The video quality on this one's going to be silly, and we've got a lot of cuts of technical difficulties to do later. Oh, it's going to be a hard one to cut around.
Yeah.
Oh well. But yeah, like I was saying, I would be perfectly happy to receive something that tasted like this at a bar. In fact, I have received at bars old fashions that did not taste this good.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you my story of the well substitution?
No.
This is a fun one. So I was going to a bar after orchestra on Tuesday nights for happy hour. It wasn't really happy hour. It was just a bar that happened to be nearby. And they had kind of a limited liquor selection. They were like mostly beer and like bar food type stuff. So they had a few bourbons, a few like more on the expensive side scotches that you'd expect to like, the Macallans were up there and that sort of thing. Like the things that you'd expect if a bar was going to have something in a category, it's going to be the well-known name.
Johnny Walker Green, maybe.
Not even that. They did have Johnny
okay,
Walker
wow.
Red. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but everywhere's Johnny Walker Red.
I took a chance. I figured in Washington there was a good chance that any given bar would have Westland. They did not even have Westland. Nothing in the way of American
Wow.
single malt. They did have Tullamore Dew, and Tullamore Dew apple cider cask, I think. Apple cider cask, not like flavored apple whiskey.
Tullamore Dew makes an apple cider cask?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's what it was.
I used to drink Tullamore Dew on Sundays. We would after I got off work back in Maryland sometimes, because it would be like 9, 10 on a Sunday night. We would go out, we would order a beer from a bar down the street, and we would have a shot of Tullamore Dew after we closed up the bar. And I resolved never to drink Tullamore Dew after that.
Okay,
It was
Phil's gonna
perfectly
hang in
fine,
chat.
honestly.
Excellent.
Excellent. All right,
Cool.
we'll keep an eye out for you, Phill.
Phil, I believe you know the answer to this question, actually. Tullamore Dew makes an apple cider cask as like a standard release, right? And while we wait for the chat to catch up. Yes. Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay.
Okay,
I
sweet.
believe Phil was the first one that mentioned that release to me, which is why I asked. I don't remember if I ever actually had any of that at that bar because it was like fine, but not worth the extra cost, I think, pretty much. Anyway, the hack that I came up with at this bar, which was pretty funny, is that they had a well old fashioned, which was like, I don't know, $7 or something. And I asked at one point what the well whiskey was, and it was, I believe it was Early Times. I have it in my notes somewhere, and I meant to publish a review of it and get around to that eventually.
Decent well whiskey, I believe.
Fairly decent, not my jam exactly. And so I decided to just ask if they had Jim Beam, right? Because that's a known quantity for me. And I figured like I know that I like a Beam old fashioned, right? So I'll order a Beam old fashioned. I'm fine with paying a little extra, sure, whatever. I get the bill, and the bill was funny to me. On the bill, it said something along the lines of, however it was that they rang up the Knob Creek, not the Knob Creek, the Beam. However it was that they rung up the Beam was like $5 or $5.50 or $6, something like that, like whatever it was, and then I think it was $5.50. That's what I'm seeming to remember. And then to make it as an old fashioned, they add $1 to the cost of a shot. So the well old fashioned with cheaper whiskey was $7, and the Beam old fashioned with a call whiskey was $6.50.
Damn, I love that kind of stuff.
So I never went back. I just kept on ordering my cheaper, better old fashioned.
Sure, right. Yeah.